Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to a little bit of an update on the car. This past weekend, it has turned 12 years old, and it is officially now, I think in my local group, the oldest Model S still with its original owner. The cars themselves, of course, came out in 2012, but in very small numbers, mostly on the West Coast. In 2013, they kind of sold some more, delivered some more, but it really wasn't until mid 2014 that they started cranking them out at a volume that allowed them to kind of saturate all the major East Coast cities. And I was on the leading edge of that, taking delivery in May of 2014. And of course, it is a 2014 as a result. As it sits there in the garage, it is at 145,000 miles, and it is back on its original wheels for a change. I don't actually run it on the original wheels the last couple years because that is the last set of Nokian tires that I have, and they're getting to the end of the life. They're somewhere between 4 and 5 30-seconds in the tread wear, or in the tread depth, and so that combined with the fact that I have snow tires and I'm kind of transitioning toward these Michelin Cross Climate 2s for my other sets, which I'll explain in a minute why there's a plural on that, just means that I didn't put them on at all for the last, I think, year and a half, 2 years, because I just don't like driving on those Nokians. They just don't handle well on this car. I have them on my Subaru Outback, which is normally sitting here, and they're totally fine. But for whatever reason, I don't find them to be compatible with the Model S. And that translates into some tram lining, like it follows the grooves in the highway, especially the lane separations when they're paved. And they're just awful on wet roads, whether it's spring, summer, winter, fall, doesn't matter. If the ground is wet, they just don't stick. And on a heavy car that's also rear-wheel drive, that's led to a couple surprises here and there where I got a wiggle that I didn't expect in a corner, and that I wasn't even being aggressive with or anything. And so yeah, so that's why I'm still trying to wear out this last set. I hope to do that soon. And so that's why the original wheels have not been on the car for a couple years. That also means that my tire sensors don't work, so I just have to deal with the box and all the yelling that I get from that. I did say sets of tires, so I had been running a set of winter tires, actual snow tires, Pirelli Soda Zeros, that are on another set of original wheels that I had used a Plasti-Dip type product to paint gray. I'll do a video on that at some point. I just keep forgetting to do it, and now they're stacked down in my workshop and hard to get to. It's fantastic. I think it's done really well, especially as a winter set to have that on there. It's a brand called Hyperdip. They don't give me anything for that. I had to pay for it. But I think they work fantastic, and I've recommended it to other people. And I think all told is like $50 worth of the stuff to do all four wheels, and they've lasted pretty much intact, I think, for 2 winters now. 2 winters, which is pretty good, I think. Let's see, what was it? Oh, and then I had another friend who traded in his Model S, and he didn't want his original wheels anymore because they don't fit on the new cars very well. And they had basically brand new Cross Climate 2s, and he offered them to me at a good price, which I jumped at because it's wheels that are mounted with the tires that I like that were basically brand new, and I don't care whether his tire sensors don't work with my car, which they won't. I can't turn down tires at a good price. So I now have this set. I have a set like this that I have Plasti-Dipped a dark gray that have snow tires on them. I think I get one more winter out of those probably. And then I have a set of Michelin Cross Climate 2s that are on my gray turbine that I paid for. And I have the set of the Michelin Cross Climate 2s on another set of these, well, that I paid a little bit for. So after selling my Arachnids last year, my big 21-inch wagon wheels, I find myself once again with 4 sets of tires and wheels for this car. In fact, you could probably see they're stacked up over here are the gray wheels. They're underneath that white blanket. Those remain my favorite wheels. The gray turbines I just think look the best on this car, and probably, I don't know, I kind of like the way the gray painted 5-spokes looks too. Something about the gray and the gray works for me. What else are we going to talk about today? Well, I need to put some parts away because I've got lots of parts. hanging out down here in the garage, and I want to stick them up in these cabinets here and in the attic and stuff like that, so they're not in my day-to-day use. One of the big questions I get on various videos that I do about suspension pieces that I've replaced is how well are they wearing. In fact, I got it again today. Somebody asked, well, what did the bushings look like on the lower rear control arm that broke? And it's a valid question. Like, did it break because the bushings were bad, or did it break because of bad metallurgy? Well, it was bad metallurgy, and if you watch that video, you'll see that there's very good reasons to believe that it's bad metallurgy. The number one reason is because it was a recall that was mandated by other governments in other parts of the world that Tesla admitted to that being a faulty part and replaced for free. And they did it for some of the ones in the US, but just randomly excluded other ones, including mine. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of trust in Tesla's honoring of their warranties for a variety of reasons, which I have gone into in other videos, but it's a faulty part, and the fact that there's an upgraded part that is now on the car is kind of a testament to that. I also replaced last year a lot of other suspension pieces, and I have the old parts down here, and that's what we'll look at in the rest of this video. So if you want to see how those suspension pieces look after about 130,000 miles use, that'll be what we talk about next. Brakes, I need to do the back ones sometime soon, probably in the next year, but those are actually still original rotors and pads. And in Pennsylvania, we do have a state inspection system, and it just passed last month. So, and I can't remember what the readings were on there, but by a decent margin. The only reason I have replaced the front brakes is because of rust and corrosion, because this particular era Model S doesn't have dust shields or anything like that, so you get all kinds of crud up there under the rotor, and they salt our roads, and I use this car year-round, and who knew? Yeah, you know, obviously I knew that the brakes don't get as much use, but I still thought I was using them hard enough and taking care of the lubricating the pins and stuff every year. But there was a interval that I missed because of bodywork repair. They actually replaced this back door after a not very talented parker hit it while it was parked. And so that door is actually not original. And that threw me off my maintenance schedule. I skipped one time and I ended up having to replace the front brakes, pads, and rotors. So do your maintenance every year. I always say that. Do your maintenance. There's a video on the channel on how to do that. All right, let's look at some suspension pieces and try and keep this, because people complain about me talking too much. So we'll get into that, and that's how we'll end the video. All right, here we go. These are the front four links, and you can find these commonly broken on older Teslas. There's a revised part which is beefier here, but they tend to crack here, typically when people are turned all the way in parking spaces, and then they'll crack and then break open and release this joint during reversing. Commonly, I think when the car's dragging the weight backward and turned, it tends to stress this and kind of pull this open. And that is a pretty common failure point of these front four links. There's the original part number. This is the first version of these, so they actually are prone to failure. Mine just didn't. And if I, you know, and there's no sign of either side failing either. Like there's no hairline cracks or anything like that. We'll look at both of them. But yeah, they seem to be in really good shape. I kind of had this thing where I was paying a shop to do some of the suspension work. So once you're doing one thing, you might as well do all of them. And at 130,000 miles or so that I was at, it just made sense that they probably could be done. Or at the very least, maybe I wouldn't worry about it for another 130,000 miles, which would be 260, which would be, you know, pretty crazy. But we'll go ahead and get my flashlight to stay on here. It doesn't want to. Okay, well, if you can see there, no signs of real damage. The joint itself is still pretty tight after 130,000 miles. It's not got any slack or play in it. This is the driver's side, and if we look at the bushing here in the back, I don't see any signs of you know, catastrophic wear or anything like that. And I didn't when it was on the car. Again, I just had it done because they were going to be in there already. But, you know, other than the metallurgy issue, the parts themselves seem to wear pretty well, and no complaints. And here's the passenger side. That's maybe a little bit looser, but, you know, it still takes a fair amount of effort to move around. It's not like some of suspension pieces I've seen that are worn. No signs of cracks or anything like that on here. The boots are fine. And again, the bushes look, or bushing on this one looks to be totally fine to me. That's after 130,000 miles of use. So if I had to put it back on a car, I wouldn't feel bad about it. I don't know why I would do that, but if I were to, I keep them around here as a spare. All right, so now we're going to move to the back. Let's put something here for you to look at while I figure out what else I have. All right, so I've did a video on replacing some of these parts already, so we won't get too deep into it, but the marks that you see on here, some of this is dirt, some of it is paint, because like I said, I paint the struts to try and keep them from rusting, and so that's black paint that's on there. These are the upper links. You would notice this is where your air suspension hooks onto, for those of you who have it. I don't. And same sort of thing. When I look at this bushing, there might be a little bit of separation there, but yeah, this one probably was due. Yeah. All right. I'm going to say that one probably that was the right call to have that replaced. And again, once you start doing one, you might as well do them all. And yeah, I think that bush, that's not just dirt there. That's, you know, there's some separation happening there. So yeah, but the metal itself seems fine. It's just the bushing on those are wearing out. And then we have the links. Yeah, all right. I'm going to say that I made the right call replacing that as well. This is the toe link, in case you care about part numbers or anything. This is about the cheapest, easiest part to replace there is. There's no adjustability on it. It just comes on and off. Mind you, it's not so loose that I can move it, but it definitely, we're definitely seeing some chunking of the bushing on that one. Same on this. Yeah. Oh yeah, this one. Now that may have been done in the removal process. I can't remember. No, I don't think this is the one that had the bolt cut out. So no, that is just wearing out. So probably not anything worth keeping around or trying to put on my car again. And that brings us to the other big, they're pretty heavy actually too, rear part. These are the aft assembly on the front. Sorry, these are the front pieces. You would note these as the ones that you have to cut the bolt to get off. So it's a hefty bit of kit, as the British would say. And I can move this one pretty easily. And I can move that one pretty easily. These aren't really known for any kind of failure. They're just a hassle because of that bolt cutting issue. I couldn't tell you which one's which. They're the same. I don't think there's any way to really know. And I didn't mark it when it was on the car. But everything metal-wise looks fine. Yeah, that's pretty loose, I would say. That's pretty loose. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to move that. But there's no damage to the boots that I can see. I am, again, fighting with my flashlight. What's the deal here? There we go. Oh, now it stays on. Bastard. All right, so yeah, I mean, you can see evidence of winter salt on there, and of course road grit and grime. Now these are easy to move, but does that really mean anything other than them being loose? The bushing kind of looks fine to me. As far as the rubber wearing out, I don't see any sign of that, but well, this one's sort of stuck in this like crooked configuration, so it's probably not reusable in any way. The back bushing, I don't see, maybe a little bit of pulling out on that edge, just a little tiny bit. But for 130,000 miles, I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's horrific or anything. This one also looks pretty okay to me. Like I don't see any tears or chunks missing on that side. Yeah, it's still pretty tight. So yeah, I think that's really the only sign of wear on these is just that we've got some movement there we can do pretty easily. That maybe is supposed to be stiffer than that, and ditto on here. But otherwise, considering the mileage on them, all of these parts are in pretty okay shape. I basically did it proactively, preventatively, whatever you want to say. And, it has helped the handling of the car, but there's nothing really catastrophic here. All right, the one piece I can't easily show you, and these are not original rotors on the front, like I said, is this is the upper control arm. This one is, let's see, there we go. This one is has about 110,000 miles on it. If I'm doing the math right, somewhere around there, about 100,000 miles, maybe 110,000 miles. And the one that I had replaced as part of the same work as the other suspension bits is over here on the passenger side. And I don't know that it looks that much different, frankly. Maybe a little bit less rust, but that is the only other suspension piece I've had to do aside from the lower control arms and the sway bar links, videos of which you can find on the channel. Oh no, I have a paint chip. My baby has gotten assaulted by road debris. All right, well, there's the full update on all of that. All right, so that's basically how the car has been holding up. It is now on its second generation of suspension pieces. I think the only pieces that are even remotely original is the driver's front upper control arm is probably from about 40,000 miles. That was a warranty replacement, so it's got 100,000 miles on it, whereas the passenger front was replaced with all the other suspension pieces. And the actual struts and springs themselves are still original. The springs are fine, obviously, they're just coily metal. The struts, really hard to say when a strut is aging, because it's not like it works and then it doesn't kind of a thing. These are just regular struts. They're not the air suspension, so they don't have like a poof, it failed. They just kind of get a little looser over time. They may leak some of the oil that's in them, which is an automatic replacement. And I think in my case, they're probably going to just rust from the outside in because even though I paint them every year and put anti-corrosion on them because they're one of the few parts under the car that actually will rust, they are showing that they've had 12 years of exposure to our salted roads. And so now when I paint them, every time I swap tires, I'm sort of wiping them down and kind of roughing them up with my gloves and stuff to get the flaking metal off. And as you probably can imagine, if you keep rubbing off flaking metal that's because of corrosion, even though you paint it and do all those things, like you still have a little bit coming off every time, well, metal doesn't grow back. So they are somewhat imperceptibly getting smaller and smaller and smaller every year. And so we'll see how long that they can go. They seem to handle okay. It's maybe a little looser than it was when it was new, but overall it's pretty much the same, really. So 12 years, 145,000 miles, and second life on the suspension. And here we go. It's still working great, and still the best car I've ever owned. Thanks for watching.